Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to your update on what will become Hurricane Sally. It's heading toward Louisiana and heading toward New Orleans. But there's been a few changes since my last update, and let's take a look. Let's open up the charts right here. Now, I'm going to show you guys the satellite imagery, and I'm going to tell you we got two hurricanes, or well, Tropical Storm Sally and a hurricane out in the Atlantic. And, I'm going to tell you, one's a full-fledged hurricane, and the other one is just a tropical storm. Now, as far as, you see the black-looking blob? That's the tropical storm. Look how much more energy it has in it than the actual hurricane out there. And the only difference is wind speed. But I'm going to tell you what, if I had my choice which storm I'd rather be underneath right now, I would pick the hurricane. And the reason why is because underneath this Tropical Storm Sally, if you see this very deep convection, it would just be absolutely pouring rain and lightning, and there'd be chance of tornadoes underneath it. And also, what would happen is the wind speed would be more steady, not so gusty, but just a steady roaring wind of around 65 miles an hour, just under hurricane force. And that's because of all this convection. So it would have a lot of sustained winds within it. Whereas this hurricane out here, the wind speed wouldn't be a steady 65 miles an hour. The wind speed would probably be around a steady 40 miles an hour with gusts that would go up to like 80 or something, And so it would be more gusty and less wind and rain. In fact, there'd be whole open places where you could actually see the sky, and no rain at all, and then it would come in when the rain would be lashing and everything. But of the two storms, the worst conditions right now would be underneath this black-looking blob, even though it's not a full hurricane strength. So it's developing. And soon those winds are going to pick up to hurricane strength underneath this Hurricane Sally. It will become a hurricane. It's forecast to become a hurricane very soon, but it's just short of a hurricane right now. If we take a look at the tracking right here, we can see it's heading toward New Orleans, but now earlier models and earlier predictions of where it was going to go is a little bit further west, where the eye would have went right up over New Orleans itself. Now it looks like the eye is going to stay just slightly east of New Orleans. Well, you say, well, what's the big deal of that? Okay, I'll explain to you what the big deal is. The highest winds are on the right side of the eye. That's where the highest winds coming in off the ocean are. And if you're on the left-hand side of the eye, the winds have to rotate over land before they come over you, right? And the winds are much less significant on the left-hand side of the eye rather than on the right-hand side of the eye where the winds are coming off the ocean. So because this storm has moved a little bit, just a little bit further east in its track, right, it means that New Orleans might not get quite as heavy of a lashing of winds as they would have got if the storm had stayed a little bit more on the eastward track. Doesn't mean they're not going to get any winds. They will get winds, but might not be quite as significant as it would have been if the storm had been a direct hit right over top of Louisiana. These small storms, and this is a small storm, not a large hurricane. The hurricane force wind field stays very close to the eye. And just a matter of a few miles this way or that way can mean whether you get the actual hurricane force winds or you get tropical storm force winds on these very small storms. And so it looks like this little tiny movement to the east it's tentative right now because New Orleans itself is still inside this cone. So, the hurricane could still hit New Orleans directly, but it's starting to look a little bit more like it's going to be a little bit to the east of New Orleans. Okay, that being said, it's still going to be like a strong Category 1 hurricane. It failed to, on its journey from the Keys to where it is now, it failed to intensify as quickly as I thought it would. But it's starting the intensification process now. Okay, thank you guys for listening. to this hurricane update on this potential storm that could bring an awful lot of rain. And I mean, okay, take a look at this storm. This is going to be a real rainmaker. Look at it. I mean, it's a black-looking blob. Hurricanes are not all the same. Take a look at this hurricane out here in the Atlantic. There's 2 hurricanes in this shot, or a tropical storm and a hurricane. It hasn't got near as much rain as this black-looking blob. This is just pouring. This absolutely pouring rain. Just dumping buckets underneath this thing. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll catch you guys in the next show. Bye-bye.